Welcome to another episode of Drinking After Dark, a podcast where we discuss random topics while having a few drinks. I'm your host, Darius, and as always, drink responsibly. And y'all make sure y'all follow Drinking After Dark podcast on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe to Drinking After Dark podcast YouTube channel. Tonight, not drinking on anything tonight, man. I'm just drinking on some sweet tea tonight. With everything that's been going on the last few days, we had our winter storm. Um, a lot of us has been affected by the winter storm with snow, ice, power outages, things like that. People are going through the grocery store, stocking up on bread, milk, things like that. Uh, some people have been missing work because they can't even get out there on driveways, can't even get out there on neighborhoods. So it's been a crazy few days. It's been a crazy few days, but we knew this was coming. And I know I've seen a lot of people on TikTok make, especially from Tennessee, seen a lot of, TikTok videos talking about, oh, they talking about this on the news, but it's really not going to happen. It happened. All right. If they say it's coming, it's coming. So kind of want to see their TikTok videos now, which, probably didn't do nothing since, but either way it goes, man, I hope you guys are safe, safe at home. If you're trying to go out, please be safe. If not, please stay off the streets, man, because worst thing to do is try to go somewhere where, you really don't have to be, um, and you get stuck somewhere. So please be safe. Uh, I know for a lot of school districts, schools is closed. I know here, it's closed for a few days. Probably should close for the rest of the week, but they probably will make that decision, needless to say. Um, But yeah, overall, man, just stay safe, man. If you're gonna go out there driving, man, please drive with caution. Um, Also the Super Bowl matchup has been set. Seattle Supersonics versus the New England Patriots. I have a friend of mine who is a huge Patriots fan, and I know he's excited. So who knows? I might get him on the podcast, man, and talk about this, get his thoughts on it and everything. And for all the Seahawks fans, to all the Patriots fans, I know you guys are happy playing in the big game. So we'll see what happens with that in a couple of weeks with the Super Bowl and all of that. Um, of course, there's stuff that's going on, uh, whatnot, but you know, it's crazy. It's crazy how it seems like sports continues to evolve and this and that, and you got grown men. Well, let me put it this way. I'm gonna say those like 26, 27, 28 years old playing collegiate sports, which, technically there's no age limit into that. If you go back and watch the Water Boy, I mean, Bobby Boucher was like in his 30s playing college ball. So, um, speaking of college football, congratulations to Indiana for winning the national championship, the first in their program history, undefeated season. At that, y'all could debate whether they're the greatest football team of all time. Personally, I say no, but they did go undefeated, so congratulations to them. Oh man, it's been it's been a lot of stuff that's been going on. Um, I ain't gonna lie, my hands are a little bit numb because I'm getting the ice off my car and things like that because we got a lot of ice here. I know some places just got just snow, some places just got ice. We got both here over 2 days. So, but you know what? It's been cool though. It's been cool. I just been chilling all weekend, um, catching up on some shows and all of that. So it's been straight. It's been straight. So far I only missed one day of work. I was already off all weekend anyway, so but so far I just missed 1 day of work. Um, but yeah, it's been cool. Um, this one thing I do, uh, I want to speak on this because I know I've seen um if you're in the if you're in the sports world, right? Um, there's this big thing about now professional, and I'm gonna stick to college basketball for a second. There's been this thing where and it's another thing too I want to talk about too, but it goes to the NBA to a certain team. But in college basketball now you have guys who got drafted in the NBA, might not necessarily played in the NBA, but they played in the G League, who are coming back to college and are eligible to play. This is my take on that. I think the NCAA has to make a rule, right? They already have a rule in place where you could put your name in the draft if a deadline, you could come back, whatnot. But if you get drafted, you play, um, if you play in the NBA, even if it's for like, say, one game, I don't think you should go back to college. I don't think that. Um, Now, on the flip side of that, I could see the argument being made how a lot of European players come over to college after playing professionally since they were like 14, 15 years old. So they play professionally overseas, then they come over here to play college ball, right? And here's my thing on that. I see it from both sides, right? Um, but I also think too, the issue you have is college players, not all of them, but some of them are making big time money, right? Making big time money playing college ball. In a sense, there are like professional athletes, in a sense. You know what I mean? If you go to a school because, they're offering more money, what's that? That's no different than what you see in the league, right? So I believe that with this particular instance, I don't think he played a game in the NBA. I know he got drafted, but, it's like G League. I look at G League, which is a professional league, by the way. Um, don't play as many games, I don't think, as the NBA, but you do have a chance to get called up, right? Get called up. And yeah, a lot of guys who get drafted first round, um, second round that don't necessarily make it to the NBA, right? So, um, I don't know. It's kind of like I'm kind of I see both sides of this. I think you should let him play. I don't like the fact that he's coming mid-season. That's the thing about it. I don't like he's coming mid-season. And it should this the decision should have been made at the beginning of the season or after the season, in my opinion. So um I forgot the kid I forgot his name from Alabama. He just started playing recently. I forgot his name, excuse me, for not remember it, but I just believe that he should, if that decision was going to happen, I don't think he should come back during the middle of the season and and um and play. I think if he was going to do that, have him sit out, then have him come next season if that's the case. So that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Um, and I see a lot of people talking about, especially like with college football, you got guys like you look at Indiana's roster, the average age is like 24, 25, and you got some people like Well, they got a bunch of, old guys on the team, which let's just be honest, 20, 24, 25, 26 is not old. I mean, and you gotta look at the NCAA, they're granting eligibility to these players. It's one thing to be a graduate player, what I mean, stuff like that. You graduated and going to a grad school, so yeah, so you can play, you're eligible to play. So you're going to be about 22, 23, 24 years old playing if you're a graduate player. Um, but by the end of the day, man, I think the whole system is kind of all off, and maybe they gotta get some more structure into the system with NIL and eligibility rules and things like that. Um, the age thing doesn't bother me because you got people who do go to college, they go back to college or decide to go to college at say 25. What you gonna do? Tell them they can't play because they're too old? No, can't do that. So now I would say if they have gone play professionally, they should not go back to college and play. I think once you've gone professionally, that's that. Just my opinion. Okay. But here's now I want to switch over to the NBA real quick because I want to talk about the Golden State Warriors. Um, that dynasty is over, which is okay. The dynasty is over. Um, they made that very clear. Once they traded Klay Thompson, um, they let Jordan Poole go. Draymond Green he is who he is. He's never really been great defender, great defender, but when you think about offensively, he's not really a threat. He's really never, in a sense, never really been a threat offensively. If you really think about it over his career, he's been more of a facilitator, a guy that could get others involved. Um, but Steve Kerr, we got to talk about this. Um, can't take away what he has accomplished as a coach in the NBA, 4 championships um, during that run. You know, uh, obviously, two of them came with, you look at that super team they had. We all know they probably would have had a three-peat if KD didn't get hurt and Klay Thompson in the same series, by the way, against the Raptors. KD with the Achilles and Klay Thompson with the ACL, which he was on his way to 50 that night. I remember that game. And but here's my problem with the Golden State Warriors. Steph is the greatest shooter we've ever seen, right? Um, I don't consider him a point guard. I just consider him a guard. Um, if you're gonna say, okay, if you want to label him as a point guard as technically as they label him as a point guard, I would say out of all the point guards, Magic Johnson is number one. Number two, just me personally, I like Isaiah Thomas at number two. Um, then you got like a man, there's so many other point guards I would put ahead of um Steph Curry. We're just talking point guards, right? Magic, Isaiah, uh, John Stockton. Um, who else? You have Gary Payton, Jason Kidd, um, Steve Nash. I would put him, Rondo. So it's a lot of point guards I will put, like even Kevin Johnson, I will put him ahead in terms of point guards. Right now, if you're talking about guards, right, like in his era, what how the which in this today's basketball, you don't see a true point guard anymore. He's the best point guard in the league, right? That's just my opinion. But two people I gotta blame for the downfall of the Warriors. You gotta blame Steve Kerr and you gotta blame Steph Curry. Now, this is the reason why. I'm gonna start with Steph Curry. Steph Curry, he's his own system. right? So with his system, you know, the ball going side to side, really nothing going downhill. If he's on the court, obviously you're looking for him. Um, yes, the floor is spread. Guys think they are Steph Curry. They're really not. There's only one of him, and you could tell that the defense keyed in on him to where they have not adapted to their roster and what they can do with this team. We're not saying this team is going to be a championship contender. I don't see that happening um, anytime soon, to be honest with you. But I see that this system, this system has figured out, like, okay, take Klay Thompson away. You have no Kevin Durant, right? You have no Kevin Durant. Um, Draymond not what he used to be. You don't have a deep bench anymore. So now you looking at all the flaws within the system. If you don't have another player that they could key on, right, to let Steph do Steph, then it's not going to work. They try to recreate that with some players. Moody is not that guy. What's his name? Pajeski, whatever his name is. He's not that guy. So they're bringing Jimmy Butler. Hopefully, he gets back, obviously, towards ACL, so he's probably won't be back till after next season. We'll see how that goes. Um, but also too, Steph Curry with his frustrations, who's soon to be 38 years old, whose birthday is basically like a week and a half before mine. I'm about to be 38 in March as well. Um, has to come to the understanding that yes, Steph Curry is still playing at a high level, but at some point you have to move over and let the next guy take over. Um, and because it's a Steph Curry thing, Steph Curry will always be the face of that franchise. No doubt about it. Will always be the face of that franchise. But at some point you have to accept the fact that this system, this style of play does not work anymore. Every team has caught up to it. And besides, you don't have the players around to where you could get away with a lot of mistakes that you make. And the fact that I don't know if he spoke up about it or not, can't really tell, but it just seemed like he's not, I don't know, is there miscommunication or whatever? Maybe he's still like, oh, we got this window. As long as I'm here, we still have this window. No, the window is closed. Let's be honest. The window is closed. You got OKC, you got Denver, you got Houston, you got who else out with? San Antonio, right? Um, the Lakers, not yet. At some point, their window will open back up again. You got Minnesota. So there's teams in front of you that their windows are open, right? Or with the chance to contend. The Warriors have no chance to contend. Even if they get in the playoffs, they're not gonna do much of anything. Well, that playoff dream is kind of like down now because Jimmy Butler's out. But yeah, so I think, and I would go to the management as well. But Steph Curry, his style of play, the system hasn't changed, so I look at him. Now, let's get to Coach Steve Kerr. Decent player in the NBA. Obviously, y'all know three championships with the Bulls, two with the Spurs, uh, four as a coach. He does have a Olympic gold medal, which we could talk about what happened in the Olympics um, last year. But Steve Kerr is not a he can't. I don't know what it is, but he doesn't develop players. I don't know what it is. He just doesn't develop players. You get any young player who come into the Warriors, right? Under his under the Steve Kerr era, how have they panned out? We gotta talk about how have that pick James Wiseman. What was he like the number? He was the number two pick. Where's he at now? Right? They got the one guy that they could have used going forward, Jordan Poole, helped you win the championship. He was basically the second best player on that team the last time he won the championship. But Draymond, that incident, punched him out. Team ain't been the same since, right? So he's gone. Um, the players that you have drafted that's there doesn't work out at all. I mean, these guys, I don't know, they're just it's really hard to watch this team. And then here's the thing too, when you do have Wiseman, you got a big guy, but you don't really want a big guy that could go get his own buckets. And I think the problem is too, is that Steve Kerr's looking at it from the way he played, right? And a lot of times he could see himself through Steph, like he doesn't see it through anybody else, right? So you have Wiseman, you have Poole. Now here's the issue. Now he has Kaminga. From the looks of it, I know people are gonna try to say we don't know what happens going on every day between them. We're not there, but we can see it from the outside looking in. This looks personal, honestly. And this guy is the only guy on the team outside of Steph and Jimmy, for that matter. But now, just outside of Steph, that could go get his own basket. That's what you needed, right? When you bring in a Kevin Durant, right? We all know Kevin Durant is better than Steph. We know that. When you need a basket, that's the guy you give the ball to. Give it to him on the post, let him, work that mid range game. Period. Kaminga is a guy who likes to go downhill, attack the basket, attack the basket, attack the basket, get the other team in foul trouble, right? That's what you need. And at some point, a great coach knows how to adapt to the players he has and, you know how to adapt to, like, okay, Steph will still be the focal point, but we need to add this wrinkle into it. And the fact that and Kamika can play. He is a great talent. He could play. You got to give him an opportunity to play. And I think that, and I agree with Kaminga. If you want out, get out. Because obviously they could ruin your career. If they're not playing you, they're basically devaluing you and um, not really giving you the opportunity to showcase, like, hey, you can help a team, right? So I just feel like um, right now, Steve Kerr, in terms of great head coach, but he inherited a team started by Mark Jackson, who instilled these principles with this team. Look at defense. Basically already told the whole world this is the greatest shooting backcourt of all time. People laughed at him. He was absolutely right. Okay. Um, this team was on its way up. They let him go to bring in Steve Kerr, win the championship his first year. Second year, didn't. I mean, you could blame other people for that, but he was gifted with a team. He didn't have to start from a bottom and build a team up. Take young players and develop them, right? Um, he could have got a LaMelo ball. Didn't get the LaMelo ball, right? If you had a James Wiseman, which you needed a big man, which I don't understand why he doesn't get bigs. James Wiseman could have contribute just like how uh JaVale McGee and who is it? Pachulia, guys like that were able to contribute as bigs, right? So you have that. This whole Kaminga situation is just bad. I mean, he's a guy that could guard multiple positions and could give you 20, 25, even 30 on given nights, but you're not giving this man up. So he's not, I don't know what it is about him, but Steve Kerr, for whatever reason, he just, when it comes to young talent, I don't know, maybe he's stuck in his ways on how the system should be ran. While everybody else has caught up, surpassed him right now. You got your championships. I don't know if it's time for him to move on, but I think that era gonna have to start fresh. Speaking of starting fresh, the management. Um, Mike Dunleavy is now the general manager of the Golden State Warriors. I think ownership, management have to come to Steph and say, Steph, listen, you will always be the greatest player in this franchise history. Some people consider him a top 10 player of all time, some top 15. He's definitely in that range. But at some point, a great player has to allow the next player to come in and continue on the tradition. When you look at San Antonio with Greg Popovich and Tim Duncan, David Robinson, that's why they were able to succeed for like 20 years, right? Get 5 championships out of it. Why? Because egos are taken out of it. Popovich had a system where people can thrive in, and then your franchise player will always instill confidence in somebody else. You look at David Robinson with Tim Duncan with Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili, and they pass it down to Kawhi Leonard, right? Um, so you have that constant, that consistency within the franchise. At some point, you have to say to yourself, okay, Steph, you're about to be 38. Um, we just don't have the pieces. We don't really, we're going to have to make some changes. You will always be Steph, no doubt about it. But at some point, we have to start thinking about the future. And I don't think they will trade Steph, but every great player knows how to step aside and let the next players like, now, who's that next guy you could build around, right? They had pieces. Like people clown on James Wiseman, but James Wiseman could have helped them. Now maybe you should have drafted LaMelo Ball, but you did get Jordan Poole. Jordan Poole helped you win the championship. Probably should have kept him, right? You got Kaminga. This is your next phase. Gary Payton II is a great defender. You could have kept him around. He could have be, kept around and things like that. But um, unfortunately, the everything is so tied into Steph. They don't know when to let that go. They don't know how to let that go. They don't know how to, this particular franchise don't know how to set up for the next, for the future, right? And we get it. Every team goes through their, rebuilding phase and all of that. But with this team, they didn't really have to. You had the pieces, but the problem is you didn't develop them like you supposed to as a coach. So um that's what you had. You had all of that, all those issues, and now you see the Warriors in a bad place. Definitely in a bad place. So my advice is, um to all of you, to the whole Warriors organization, it's the end of an era, and it's great. You had a great run, but I think it's time for you guys to truly, truly start thinking about um, what to do with Steph in terms of his role, who's going to be the next face of the franchise, and what's next. Because OKC is not going anywhere, San Antonio is not going anywhere, Minnesota's not going anywhere. Um, at some point, the Lakers will be, you know, to me, a serious contender. I don't think they're there yet, but they will be. Um, and you see Dallas, they're, what they're doing now. So they're going to be on the up and coming, and some teams out of the West going to surprise you, like Portland. So yeah, I just think that it's the end of an era, and um, great run, but at some point you gotta start making those tough decisions. All right. All right, y'all. Thanks for tuning in with me tonight. I appreciate you guys supporting me and everything like that. Make sure y'all follow Drain After Dark Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, subscribe to the channel. Um, I do I do have a couple of bottles here. I will get back to it, but again, I've been stuck in the house and just been really chilling and relaxing. Haven't really done any type of drinking whatsoever. So, um, but I do have a couple of bottles. And matter of fact, I will give my think I'm gonna do a review on ones, especially one. So we'll see how that goes. All right. Until next time, I'm Darius from Drinking After Dark Podcast. We out. Peace.